Hello everyone, it's Natalie and I'm here to talk about South Korea today. I'm actually planning on moving to South Korea in about 2 months, so I'll be in the country starting my quarantine in about 2 months, and I'm going to be teaching English to kindergarten students-ish at a private school, a hagwon. So I've done quite a lot of research on this because I wanted to make a really informed decision before, signing contracts and booking plane tickets and all sorts of crazy things. In doing that research, I had a bunch of questions, at least at first, that I really wanted like a bird's eye view of what decisions do I need to be making and what information do I really need to be able to decide, is this what I want to do? So, while doing my research, I actually had a bit of trouble finding some of these questions and answering them. And I thought it would be really nice to just put this information into a video in case anyone else out there is considering, maybe they want to go to South Korea, maybe they want to go to a different country, or just teaching English abroad in general, particularly during COVID, because still a thing. It's March of 2021. And much as we all wish it was over, it is not, and life needs to keep going on. So, if you're thinking about moving to a different country, if you're thinking about teaching English, if you're thinking that you're really bored and you want something to watch for another 15 minutes or so, keep on watching. One of the first questions that I had was, how do I teach English abroad? And the answer to that is you get a TEFL certification, which is teaching English as a foreign language. I believe that's what it stands for. Or it is also known as a TESOL, T-E-S-O-L, which is teaching English as a second language, I believe. I don't know, I'm really bad at acronyms. And so, what do you actually need? A piece of paper that says that you've completed, 120 hours of coursework, maybe some practicum hours. You can get a TEFL certification off Groupon for cheap. You can also take an accredited online course for upwards of $1,000. During non-COVID times, there are options to use a recruiting agency of sorts, and they'll actually have in-person courses, TEFL certification courses, often in the host country. So you have a little bit of time to acclimate, learn a bit about the country before you really start your job, and then also get your certification. So there are a lot of options out there, and my big question was, well, which one do I need to do? And honestly, it comes down to what you want to get out of it. Do you want to just get the piece of paper and get your job? Or maybe you don't really have a background in teaching and you want a little bit more of a solid foundation before you start a brand new job and a brand new career and teaching kids, like, hello, responsibility. I personally don't have much teaching experience. I have plenty of experience with kids and some facilitation experience, but nothing specific to teaching children, and definitely nothing specific to teaching English as a foreign language. So I actually ended up deciding to take the International TEFL Academy's TEFL certification course. It's, I believe, 120 hours or maybe 150. Don't quote me. And it has, 20 hours of practicum out as well. And I actually do have a code that I can link you below, or a link I think you can use if you'd like to go check out this course. If you end up using this link, disclaimer, it does, I think, give me some money back. It's not like a ton, but use it if you dare, I suppose. I don't know. And so just a plug for ITA, because I really do appreciate the course, and I appreciate more than that the community that it's provided. In case this is something that you're also interested in, the huge benefits of the ITA is, they do have a really extensive course. It's good material. I feel like, is it something crazy? Like, do I need to be paying a lot of money for this course material? Arguable. You can probably have a similar education elsewhere, but I do really appreciate that especially during COVID, the online courses are capped at about 20 people per course. So it doesn't feel like I'm one of a mindless, like a huge mass of students. I'm, one of 20, and I can actually have our weekly discussion forum. Like, I'm responding to people by name. Like, I don't know them, but I feel a little bit more like I'm part of a class, which is really nice. I also, just beyond that, which I feel like is a huge selling point of the course, the ITA itself has a huge amount of resources. They have a like 300-page job search guide to help you on your steps to like finding a job. Resources saying, these are some really good recruiters that our alumni have appreciated. Here are some general steps that you can follow while you're taking your certification course, and you can prepare yourself to find a job after you're certified. They have a huge alumni network as well. There are Facebook groups per country. I'm part of the South Korean ITA group, which has been really helpful while I'm looking for a job, as I'm saying, hey, has anyone heard of this school? Or, does anybody have a favorite cafe? I suppose I could ask questions like this. It means that you're connected all over the world, and you're an alumni for life, so you have access to all of these resources forever. And you know what? There's even one more resource that they have that was really helpful. They have job search advisors as well. I am very grateful to my job search advisor, Glenn, who really helped me talk through some questions that I had. He, gave me feedback and both critiqued my resume and my cover letter before I sent those off, helped me choose some recruiters to reach out to, and reviewed my contract when I finally got a contract for my first job, and kind of giving me an outside perspective, because they're not actually tied to any of the schools. They're a completely separate resource, so you're getting an objective opinion on all of these materials, because they're not tied to you getting a job. They're not getting paid for you getting a job, unlike recruiters. They're simply a resource that is available for you after you've taken this course. So yes, there's a hefty price tag, but the resources that you're getting for that price, it's beyond just the class. So highly recommend. I feel super supported by the ITA, and I know that I'll continue to feel supported by the ITA after I've graduated, in this first job and beyond. Maybe I'm gonna end up globetrotting and just teaching English in all sorts of foreign countries, and I know that the ITA can help me find jobs in all of them, which is really stellar. So I think I've talked enough about the ITA, and I've talked enough about TEFL certification courses. If you have any more questions, feel free to pop them in the comments below. I'm happy to answer them. But yeah, so choose the TEFL certification course that's right for you, but just choose one. Next question, I suppose, bird's eye, is a big one, and there's plenty of YouTube videos out there about it, but choosing public or private. I'm not going to go into all of the differences just because there are plenty of videos, but I guess I'll go into why I chose private schools. I decided I wanted to go to Korea in February, the beginning of February. I did all my research, I made this decision, and I'm, trying to switch jobs from my current job to finding a career path that I find a little bit more rewarding. And ultimately I chose private because you have a lot more control. Public schools are only accepting job applications in the fall. I think September is when they start accepting job applications, and then you start in March. And then in the spring, that's when they start accepting job applications, like March, for start dates in September. So I would have had to wait until September to be in Korea. And frankly, I wanted to start a little sooner than that. My lease in my current apartment is up on May 31st, so I was shooting for start dates of June. And that basically limits me to Hagwon's private schools. Private schools hire year-round. They hire the majority of their openings, again, kind of in that spring, fall time period. They follow it's an academic calendar, so the whole school, they hire all of their new teachers at the start of their academic year. So it just kind of depends on when that is, depending on the school. Some schools, they start the year in March. Some schools start it in August. Some schools, I don't know, November sometime. There's just a month. So there's going to be more options perhaps in September or March than in June, but there are still options. So I chose Hagwons because I could choose my start date a little bit more. I had options. I could also really kind of fine tune and choose my school of choice. The public school program places you somewhere. You don't really get a say of where or what the school is like. You just have to go. But Hagwons, I can work with a recruiter who can send me schools. They can ask me, do you want to work with younger kids, older kids? Do you want to work, during the day, at night? That's the same question basically. Would you like to be in a city, in, a small town? Would you like to be in the north, south? All these questions. And we can kind of narrow in on what school I want to go to. And then from there, they'll send me schools, so they'll send me contracts, and I'll say, oh, I like this school, or oh, I don't like this school. So you have a lot more control with the private school route. There's also going to be private schools have more foreign teachers. In a public school, you're likely the only English-speaking teacher. You're the only one at that school. But at a private school, it's, dedicated to learning English usually. So you're working with a whole bunch of other English teachers, which is really nice. And it's, a way to kind of have a community, which I'll be honest, I think is really important, especially during COVID, because you're going to be limited to, kind of having interactions with people that you're forced to have interactions with. There's just not as much socialization happening during COVID. So I thought it was really important to be picking a school with more English teachers so that I have, again, more interactions. I'm, making more friends through my daily routine rather than, going out and exploring and making friends, because nobody's really doing that right now. Even in Korea, where things are a little bit more, normal. Okay, so where am I going in Korea? Where did I want to go? Honestly, I didn't have any destination in mind. I just wanted to end up in a larger city because I haven't had that experience yet in life. I grew up most of my life outside of Philadelphia, but I wasn't really in the city, and I went to school in a more rural area, and I'm currently living between farm fields. So I wanted a bit of the urban experience. And I also wanted a little bit more of the community that comes with being in a bigger city, because there are going to be more foreigners. I'm not really great with Korean yet, I'm not gonna lie. And so I like the idea of being able to form kind of an expat community, which is nice. And they're all gonna be very like-minded people. They're gonna be people that are there for the same reason I am, or similar reasons, and I just thought that was a really nice thing. Where am I actually going though? The school that I accepted a contract for is in Seoul, which is crazy because that's a very difficult city to get into, particularly for first year teachers. So this is not a standard experience. But I'll be able to explore all around Korea. Considering COVID, things are pretty shut down. International travel is very much restricted right now, but traveling within Korea is not as restricted. So I'll be able to save some more money now that travel's out of the picture, but still get a chance to really immerse myself in South Korea, which is so exciting. Like, I cannot wait to be exploring different places and seeing different towns and cities, and I don't know, I'm very excited about this. If I could take a pottery class, do you think I can take a pottery class? I feel like that'd be really fun. I'm very interested in these pottery YouTube videos right now, I'm not gonna lie, but I digress. Okay, so I mentioned a little bit of the fact that there's a language barrier. I don't speak Korean yet. I've been learning a little bit off and on for a little less than a year. It's shameful because I haven't really studied in months, but we have been busy. So, I'm working on studying Korean and getting better and there's definitely a language barrier. I'm not super worried about it though, because I tend to pick up languages fairly easily, and honestly, immersing yourself in a country and forcing yourself to learn the language on the fly is a really terrific way to learn. You're going to be learning much more than you would sitting at home, studying on the computer alone, not really using the language outside of the practice examples and things, which is all I've really been doing. So, the practice that I'm getting right now isn't nearly as extensive as the practice I would be getting if I'm being forced to go out and make my orders in Korean, or go grocery shopping in Korean, or just taking the bus. I don't know. I know that Korean is a really difficult language to master, but that said, I think that trying is the important thing. I suppose I'd be afraid of being accidentally disrespectful. I think that's the part I'm most nervous about is, right now my Korean's not good at all. I've learned the important words like please, thank you. Actually, I don't think I know please. Hopefully, between now and when I arrive in Korea, plus then I'll have 2 weeks of quarantine to deep study. But learning Korean, big thing. I'm not super worried about it. If anything, I think I'm excited. I'm always up for a challenge. Okay, last question. Am I worried about the beauty standard in South Korea? And the short answer to that is no. The standards are some of the strictest in the world, but they're harshest upon native Koreans. I think because foreigners are expected to look different and are not expected necessarily to conform to those same beauty standards. I think the worry is less about will I conform to these standards? Am I going to fit in like that? Well, the answer is no. But I think the worry is less about that and more about will I be perceived as less than because I don't fit? I think as a foreigner, this goes even beyond beauty standards. I think as a foreigner, you're held to different expectations. The expectations put upon you are different, and that can vary by person. It could be as simple as somebody being more curious about you and not being afraid to ask you probing questions, or it could be someone assuming that you're down to hook up because you're a foreigner and propositioning you on the street. And I think that's the part that worries me the most, is just the fact that there's no way to hide that I'm different, and so I'm most worried about being perceived of as different in a negative way. I think that answers the question. It's a bit different now, but it's okay. Okay, that's all I've got for this video. I really just wanted to put together some questions and answers that I had while I was doing my first little round of research into South Korea and whether or not I wanted to go. I figured it would be good to share some of my own concerns and the things I'm excited about, and if you feel the same way about going to South Korea, maybe you'll join me there. I hope this was helpful, or at least entertaining. I don't know. That's all I've really got. Let me know if you have any more questions. I'm happy to answer them. But thank you all so much for watching, and I guess I'll see you next time, whether it's for a recipe or who knows, maybe I'll lose track of time and my next video will be me moving to Korea.